You open the app. Net worth, $0. Not negative, just nothing. Every dollar you make leaves before it settles. Rent takes the first bite. Groceries take the second. What's left doesn't last until the next paycheck. It just delays the panic by a few days. You don't own anything with resale value. Your laptop is 4 years old. Your car is leased, which means you don't even own the thing depreciating under you. 0 isn't a number. It's a ceiling you can't see past. Your friend posts a screenshot of his brokerage account. Not bragging, just sharing. You like the post and close the app. You're not jealous. You're just aware now that other people are already playing a game you haven't found the entry point to. You Google how to start investing at midnight. Every article assumes you already have money to invest. Nobody explains what to do when the number is 0. The advice exists for people who don't need it yet. The first rule: at $0, net worth isn't a measurement. It's a starting line nobody hands you a map for. You have a number now, small but real. Most of it sits in a savings account earning almost nothing, but it's yours, untouched, growing by a few dollars a month that you check like it's a heartbeat. You stop panicking over $40 charges. That alone feels like wealth, not because the money changed your life, because the absence of panic did. You open a retirement account for the first time. The contribution feels small, $50 a paycheck, barely noticeable. But it's the first time you've paid yourself before you paid everyone else. Your coworker mentions his 401k match casually, like it's nothing. You realize you've been leaving free money on the table for 2 years without knowing it existed. Nobody teaches this. You just have to stumble into it or stay behind. You don't feel rich. You feel steady. Steady is a feeling 0 never gave you. The second rule, $10,000 isn't wealth. It's proof the system can work for you instead of against you, if you let it. The number stops feeling fragile. A bad month won't erase it anymore. You could lose your job tomorrow and survive 3 months without borrowing from anyone. You check the app less, not because you stopped caring, because the fear that made you check it obsessively is gone. You look now out of curiosity, not survival. Your investments start doing something on their own. Not much, a few $100s a year that you didn't work for. The first time you see gains instead of contributions, something shifts. Money making money feels different than money you traded hours for. You still drive the same car, still live in the same apartment. Nobody around you would guess the number behind the screen. Wealth at this level is invisible by design. You run a projection for the next 20 years. The number at the end looks comfortable. Not exciting, comfortable. You stare at that word for a while, unsure if it's enough. The third rule, $50,000, is quiet. It doesn't change how people see you. It changes how you see tomorrow. You cross a line most people never reach. Compound growth stops being a concept in an article and starts being a line on your own chart, curving upward on its own. You buy a house, or you don't, and either way, the decision is yours, not your bank's. You qualify for things that used to feel theoretical: better rates, better cards, doors that used to stay shut open slightly, not because you asked louder, because the number behind you got louder. Your parents ask about your retirement account and you realize you understand it better than they do. The student became the reference point. You still work the same job, still set an alarm, still answer emails at 7 a.m. Nothing about your daily life looks different. But the 6 months of expenses sitting untouched in your account changes the way you make decisions. Fear stops running the show. A friend asks for advice. You give it, and hear yourself sounding like someone who knows what they're talking about. You didn't notice the moment you became that person. The fourth rule: $150,000 doesn't buy freedom yet. It buys options, and options are the beginning of freedom. $500,000. The number used to sound like a lottery ticket. Now it's a Tuesday afternoon check-in on an app. Your investments earn more in a strong year than your salary did 5 years ago. You didn't do anything differently that year. The money simply had time to work, and time is the only ingredient that can't be rushed. You stop asking, "Can I afford this?" for most normal purchases. You still ask it for large ones, but the question has changed shape. It's not, "Will I survive this?" anymore. Is this worth it? People assume you make more than you do. Your lifestyle didn't inflate at the same rate your net worth did, so the two stopped matching. You look average. You are not. You think about retirement as a real date instead of a hopeful idea. The math finally has an ending you can see. The fifth rule, $500,000 is where money stops being about survival and starts being about time. You're not buying things anymore. You're buying years back. The word millionaire used to sound like someone else's life. Now it's a checkbox that happened quietly on a random Thursday while you were doing laundry. Nothing about your house changed. Nothing about your car changed. The number crossed 7 figures and the world outside your phone screen didn't notice, because it was never about the world noticing. Your portfolio now earns more in some months than your paycheck does. You start to understand why wealthy people talk about money differently. It stops being something you chase and starts being something you manage. Family starts asking questions they never asked before. Not out of greed, out of curiosity. You became proof that the math they were taught to distrust actually works, given enough time. You don't feel like a different person. You feel like the same person who finally stopped bleeding money at zero 20 years ago and just kept going. The sixth rule, $1,000 isn't the finish line. It's the point where the finish line becomes visible for the first time. You could stop working. You don't, not yet, but the option sits there every morning like a door left open a crack. Your money now generates more in a year than most people earn from a full career. You didn't get smarter. You got patient, and patience compounded. You help your kids start accounts at ages you never had one. The gap you spent your 20s climbing out of, they'll never have to see. People assume this level requires luck or a windfall. For you, it required decades of the same boring decisions repeated without exception. Nobody films that part. Nobody wants to watch someone do nothing dramatic for 20 years. The seventh rule, $3,000 isn't built by one big decision. It's built by never undoing the small ones. The number stops feeling real even to you. Spreadsheets say it, statements confirm it. But the feeling never quite catches up to the math. You still remember $0. You remember the app that showed nothing, the friend's screenshot, the midnight searches for advice that didn't exist for someone starting from zero. Somewhere right now, someone opens their net worth app and sees $0. They close it and open Instagram instead, because zero is easier to ignore than to face. They don't know yet that the number isn't a wall. It's a starting line nobody handed them a map for. The same one you stood on once, before you understood that time was the only thing zero was ever missing. You are the same person at every number. The only thing that changed was how long you let it grow.